Good afternoon, everyone.
Good afternoon.
Good afternoon.
All right, let me welcome you all onto this session. My name is Ken, the operations manager. I have just realized that people who have not yet joined, and we shall not, I think, tolerate lateness to fellas. So please, those who are here, be advised to always join on time. And those who are late, we shall be discussing with my other team to see the way forward, because I can see already the facilitator is here and was already here on time, but some of us are late. So let me just welcome you all to this session. I pray that it's going to be an active session for all. Please participate actively so that we realize the impact of today's Module 1. So I will just welcome Mr. Gerald, if you can hear me, to take over from there.
Hi, Ken. Hi, everyone. Yes, I think you can hear me well.
Yes, we can hear you.
All right. Yes, today is our first day, and we start with the Module 1, Introduction to Integrity and Anti-Corruption. I would like to welcome everyone for the courage that you have taken to attend this wonderful learning session. And I hope that everyone will not go as they came, because you have to gather something new today. And I would like to warn you for today's session. Today's session will be an interactive one. Okay, so feel free to share all ideas, all thoughts that you have about the topic. It means even your fellow participants will learn from you. So feel free. And before starting, we are going first to see if we have got a high spirit, all of us. Now we start our Module 1 today, Introduction to Integrity and Anti-Corruption. As I have been telling you, this is an interactive session. So we are going to explore the importance or what integrity and anti-corruption can be used in our everyday life, and what can be its benefits for sustainable development and for social justice. Now, I can ask you to tell me what you understand by integrity first. What do you understand by integrity? One of you can raise your hand and you give the answer. What do you understand by integrity first? Is anyone ready? Participants, I want to hear from you. Integrity, what is it, please?
Hi.
Hi.
Yeah, my name is Eunice. For me, I can say
Yes.
integrity is doing the right thing, even when there is no one who is watching you.
Oh, that is great. Thank you. Okay, doing the right thing, even if no one is watching. Right. Who can now give an example of integrity? If that is integrity now, what is an example? What is the right thing you can do? Someone else. What's the right thing you can do so that... Yes.
For me, I can say the example is being honest.
Should be honest. Okay, you are honest. That is right, of course. Another one. Another person, another example of integrity.
Maybe if I can give another example. My name is Tom.
Yeah. Okay, Tom.
Another example of integrity is like you have gone for shopping, and the shopkeeper has given you extra change. So now you realize that you have taken more than enough, and you return that that money back to the shopkeeper. So that is another example of integrity.
All right. Thank you so much. Those are very good examples of integrity. And I think that we are going to explore how that integrity can be used in order to help to help achieve sustainable development. Okay. And we can go straight to our first slide. This is an introduction to integrity. Okay, thank you. Second slide now. Okay, definition of integrity. You have well-defined integrity. Integrity is the adherence to moral and ethical principles, the alignment of accountability, transparency, and ethical behavior minus corruption. Okay, I underline some 4 words here. Accountability, transparency, ethical behavior minus corruption. That is the integrity. And anti-corruption refers to efforts and measures taken to prevent, detect, and combat corruption. Anti-corruption initiatives aim to promote transparency, accountability, and ethical conduct within organizations and societies. Integrity is important because it builds a trust and credibility between stakeholders, creates ethical culture within organizations, enables a sustainable development, contributes to a fair business environment, is crucial for good governance at all levels, ensures legal compliance, contributes to social justice and equality. Okay, now we have understood the importance of integrity in our everyday life, how integrity can be used to sustain, to sustain development, how integrity can be important when you want to run your business, for example. Now, who can give some examples, of integrity in everyday life, what you often do? Can you tell us a situation when you have applied some integrity values in your actions? Can someone remember when they have applied integrity during their work at home, at school, or in society? Anyone? Hello, are you ready? Can you hear me, please?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yeah, I want you to give an example of integrity about how you have been practicing integrity in your everyday life, in your school, maybe in society, maybe at home with your parents or your brothers and sisters. How have you applied integrity personally?
Okay, hello.
Yes.
Yeah,
Come on.
personally, my name is Eunice again. I can say personally, I have applied integrity in many cases. For example, when someone is calling me, maybe I was supposed to go somewhere and I'm not there. No, I will not lie on the phone and say that, I am here and in this sense I'm not there. So I make sure that if I'm not at where I'm needed, I just say I am not yet there, not lying through the phone. Yeah.
That is great. Okay, is there another one who has got another example about how they applied integrity in their life?
Hi, my name is John Lopeyok, and for me, I can say one way the way I apply integrity is in school. For example, when we are doing an exam, I be honest and do the exam without cheating.
That is good. Okay, we have also said that integrity is important for sustainable development. Sustainable development. Okay, can someone give an example of integrity, showing that integrity can really help achieve sustainable development, the 17 SDGs? Can someone give an example about integrity helping to enhance sustainable development?
Thank you so much. For me, giving an example, I can link integrity with the 17 SDGs. One is that, for example, goal number, that's quality education, affordable healthcare. I can say that when we have integrity in this particular promotion of the Sustainable Development Goal, we will put our government at tasks to ensure that they don't embezzle money that are allocated towards achieving the commitments made in terms of achieving quality healthcare and also quality education for all. Yeah, perhaps that's an example. Thank you.
All right, that is a very good example. Okay, now let's now explore the other concept, which is anti-corruption. Anti-corruption, we have defined it as the efforts and measures taken to prevent, detect, and combat corruption. Okay, have you ever heard about this word? If yes, now, what kind of measures do you think can be taken to prevent or combat corruption? You can give an example of some measures which you can take maybe in your organization in order to detect or to prevent corruption there, maybe in your school, etc. Just 30 seconds. An example of measures that you can take to combat corruption. Anyone?
Okay, I can say one of the measures that we can take to combat corruption, we can say no to giving of bribes. Maybe when you go to apply a job and you are asked to give money, we can refuse to give that money. And if they can offer you the job without giving the money, then that's fine. If they cannot, okay, that's fine too. Yeah, that's my take.
Okay. Unfortunately, there was an issue with the connection, internet connection, but I can say that the example was great. But you know, when we say about measures to combat corruption, it's every action that you can take. For instance, when you are at school, you put someone is to bribe, okay, the teachers. That what it means. You take some notes about what can be read by those people who are attending the school in order to make them aware about what they have to they have to understand about corruption and what can happen when they make that act. Okay, it means when they make a corrupt act, they have to be punished. For example, it means that there must exist some rules, some regulations that guide people in order not to do what is prohibited or what is forbidden. Thank you so much. Now we go to the next slide. Okay. No, move back, please. Move back, please. Consequences, leave, okay, thank you, leave there. Consequences of corruption. Now let's explore some consequences of corruption. Here we are going to speak too much. No, I don't like to see these ones, please. Okay, leave only the titles, consequences. Okay, right, that is right. Okay, we are going to talk about the consequences of corruption on society, on economy, and on governance. Okay. And governance?
Yes, it does.
Okay, please try to give some examples of bad consequences of corruption. Someone?
As for me, I can say one of the consequences of corruption, it can lead to death of people. Maybe in a case of terrorism, let's say, for example, maybe in our borders, there are always soldiers who ensure that they keep security. And enter in within the country and come and kill people.
Great, thank you. Now, another one. Can you give another example of consequences of corruption? Someone else?
Maybe I can try. Some of the consequences of corruption in terms of governance, it can lead to poor leadership. And also in terms of consequences of corruption in the economy, it can lead to reduced in terms of development.
Okay, thank you. I think maybe you have a problem with internet connection there. Yes, you have given very good example. Hello? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, so maybe there was a problem with the participants' internet connection. Now, before we go deeper to understand the word corruption, let's now define corruption. What is corruption first? Because corruption has got a universal definition. Okay, according to you, what do you think corruption is? What is corruption? Let's first define corruption. Let's understand the word corruption. What is it? Anyone?
What is rightfully ours?
Yes, come on.
What is our
I'm sorry, I cannot hear you.
Corruption can be a major lead towards humanitarian crisis, especially where it involves basic needs like food, water, mostly propagated by government officials and agencies. Thank you.
Yes. There may be many definitions of corruption, but I want to hear from you. Another one. Can you give another definition of corruption? Another one?
My name is John. And just to add maybe a definition of corruption, according to me, I can say it is the misconduct or the fraudulent exhibited by those people who are in power.
in power. Power. I like the word power. Okay, thank you very much. Now, is there another one who can give another definition of corruption there? Yes, try. Feel free. Yes, I need another definition. Okay, thank you so much. You are wonderful. You are amazing. All of your definitions are great, okay? But we have got a universal definition of corruption. Corruption is the abuse of entrusted power for private gain. The abuse of entrusted power for private gain. Okay, or the abuse of, or the misuse, let me say, the misuse of public resource for personal gain or personal profit. That is corruption. When you abuse the power that is given to you for your private gain, that is corruption. And this definition is applied in the government, in the private sector, and in civil society. The same definition is applied everywhere in our community. But I don't mean that the definitions you gave are bad. No, no, no. They are all good, okay? They are good definitions. When we say power, it means you are given power like a teacher. A teacher has power. A headmaster has power. A president has power. A policeman has power. When all of those people try to misuse the power they have for their personal gain or their own gain, that is corruption. And we are going to see the difference between corruption and bribery and other related words. So thank you so much. Now you can discover many consequences of corruption in our communities. You have just given some, and we are going to continue here to see how those consequences are being seen in your communities, in your societies, and how you can be involved, okay, in fighting against those consequences. So on society, corruption undermines the trust, perpetuate inequalities, impede development, and exacerbate social injustices. On economy, it reduces foreign direct investment, distorts markets, leads to inefficient resource allocation, and increases costs. On governance, it weakens public institutions, leads to impaired public service delivery, causes lack of accountability, and contributes to political instability. Okay, those are some of the consequences. The list is not exhaustive. You examples and statistics in the world, in Africa, in Kenya, in your village or your town. It means we have got many examples. Okay, now let's give some examples of corruption first. Who can give an example or some statistics in their village, in their society, etc. about corruption? Do you have some examples there? Examples of statistics?
Yes, we have.
Yes, give some, please.
Yes,
Thank
yes,
you.
we have. One is bribe. Bribe, also nepotism.
Okay, you are sorry. Nice. I can see that you are now talking about forms and types of corruption. That's as, for instance, in our court.
So I feel like corruption.
Good, good. Now Do you know another example in the government? Statistic in the government.
Another statistics from the government. There's this infamous quote from Uhuru Kenyatta, our former president. He said that Kenya usually, in a single day, loses about 1 billion shillings through corruption. So I don't know where he got those statistics, but yeah, that is very, very infamous here in Kenya.
Great, great. And also in Kenya, there is another statistics here at the National Youth Service scandal. In 2015, it was uncovered that over Kenyan shillings 791 million, approximately USD 7.9 million, had been embezzled from the National Youth Service. Can you see that? All of that money has been embezzled. It means has been taken away from the public treasury, and the money was used maybe for private gain. Do you know how much people suffered about this, especially young people, because this money was meant to help young people? And there are too many examples, and maybe I can ask you to make research and find more examples about corruption. Thank you. Let's now speak about forms and types of corruptions. You have started giving some examples. Thank you so much. Now, do you know any forms of corruption worldwide? Can you give some forms of corruption that you know? The question is addressed to you, fellows. Hello? Can anyone help? Can anyone answer the question, please? Okay, you can see on the chat. Who can read on the chat? Can you see on the screen? On the screen, what can you see?
Yes, I can see forms and types of corruption.
Yes.
Yeah, bribery.
Bribery. Yes.
Yeah, it refers to the bestowing of a benefit to unduly influence an action or decision.
Okay, thank you. Another one, what can you see on the screen? Another person?
You can see nepotism.
Yeah.
The situation where the situation where a person exploits his or her power and authority and procures job and other favors for relatives.
All right. Okay. Those are some of the forms, but we have got other forms of corruption here. We have a conflict of interest, embezzlement, money laundering, trading in influence, speed money, illicit enrichment. Do you understand every concept here or every phrase? Conflict of interest. Do you know what is conflict of interest? Let's talk about conflict of interest. Try to define it by an example, please. Give an example of conflict of interest.
If I can give an example of conflict of interest,
yes.
One could be in a situation where you are submitting or you are bidding for a tender
yes.
at an organization where you are working for. So you are handing over or submitting an application for your company in the company or the organization that you are working for. That's an example of conflict of interest. Thank you.
Yes, it means that you are entitled to do something in your company or your organization, and maybe you are doing the same activity at home, and the organization or the business, okay, needs clients. I'm also giving my example, okay, and to see if there is a link between what I can say and what you have said, okay? And for example, your business has got some activities which are similar to the activities of the organization. And then instead of calling clients or customers to come to buy in your business or in the company, you bring all of the customers to buy at your compound in your business. That is a conflict of interest. It means that you have got a similar activity like what is being done in the organization, and you are trying to cheat, okay, some of the organization's let me say information or influence, and you use that for your private gain. That is a conflict of interest. Can someone give another clear example of conflict of interest? A clear example so that everyone can understand, because we are going to speak about this later in a group activity. What is the conflict of interest again? Okay, thank you so much. It means that those are different forms of corruptions. And we have embezzlement in the government, for example, or in the organization. There is money which is meant to do something in the organization, but you take that money and you use it, okay, for your personal gain or your personal profit. That is embezzlement. Money laundering. Money laundering is when you steal money from the government, but you wanted to hide the original, okay? The original, let me say, original illicit aspect of stealing that money. Now you do another thing that can please people. For example, the money was meant for building a school, but you take the money and you build a hospital somewhere, and people will come to be treated there, and you say, oh, I have done something well. That is money laundering. It means you are trying to give money another form which is good, okay, to people, but the money was stolen from somewhere. Okay, we have got also trading in influence. You use your influence because maybe you are in power and you want people to do something for you or for someone else by using your influence. Speed money. For example, when you go to the bank, and they ask you to be in line, okay, to wait until other people be served in order to get your money. But you see, no, you are hurrying up, and you tell the banker, no, please, I will give you something so that you can serve me first. That is another kind of corruption. It means you are looking for favor while there are other people who are still waiting, and you want to be served first. Illicit enrichment. Illicit enrichment is when someone has got a lot of money or wealth that they cannot explain according to what they receive normally. For example, their wage, their salary. We know that one has got $100 per month, but they have built, I don't know, a building, or they have bought an airplane. Oh, how come that one buy all of that with that money, and he has got a very low salary? That is illicit enrichment. And you have got other firms I will share with you later. You will understand. And we can explore now how can all of those forms of corruptions. We have seen that corruptions is a worldwide concept. It happens everywhere in the world. Okay? Do you know a country where corruption doesn't exist? Who can tell me a country where corruption doesn't exist? Can anyone tell me a country where corruption doesn't exist? Okay, I see that you agree with me that corruption exists everywhere, right? That's true, but the level, okay, of occurrence is different from one country to another. There are countries where corruption is habitual. It is like a habit. It happens every time. It means everyone is involved in corruption, and people think that it's normal. Those countries exist, okay? And in some countries, corruption happens, but at a very low level. It means people are not involved actively in corruption in those countries. And corruption happens in every sector. We talked about the government, we have been speaking about civil society, business, everywhere corruption happens. And we have got some types of corruptions here. Okay, can you name some types of corruptions that you know? Let's discuss about the types of corruption, please. Hello? Can you hear me? Can you hear me?
Yes, we can hear you.
Okay, thank you. I'm asking you to name some types of corruptions that you know. Types of corruption. Okay, who can read on the screen? I can see some types of corruptions on the screen here. Who can read?
I can read.
Okay, go on.
Petty corruption, grand corruption, political corruption, judicial corruption, corporate corruption, system corruption, and transactional corruption.
Right. I can see that those concepts, some of them may seem new to you, but try now to guess the meaning. Try to guess the meaning of every concept here. Petty corruption. What do you understand by this? What is petty corruption? What is grand corruption? What is political corruption? What is judicial corruption, corporate corruption, systemic corruption, transnational corruption? Now, try now to explain one by one or two of them only, because you will get to the slides later. Yes, who can just explain one of these concepts here?
I can try. Say petty corruption is the type of corruption that has no more weight compared to high corruption.
Come back again. Can you repeat?
Petty corruption is the type of corruption that has no high magnitude.
That is not high magnitude.
Yes.
What do you mean by high magnitude?
I mean, it's not high as such. It's so minimal.
Okay, petty corruption happens at a low level in the government, okay? For example, policemen, okay, teachers, doctors in the hospitals, when they ask corruption, that kind of corruption is petty corruption, because it is being done by low class of the government. And grand corruption must be now the opposite, okay? When it is done at a high level in the government. And we have political corruption. Who can give an example? Just to give an example of political corruption. An example. Can someone give an example of political corruption?
Yes, I can. From political corruption from politics, it's whereby maybe a leader wants to be elected and they give us some money, maybe like 200 or rather sometimes in form of unga for us to be able to vote for them. So that's political corruption.
Oh, great. Political corruption, that is a good example. Of course, for example, when, you live in a multi-party country. When you live in a multi-party country and there is money in the public treasury, and you take that money to fund your own party because you are president, for example, that is political corruption. Judicial corruption, here we can see judiciary, okay, corruption that is being practiced by lawyers, for example, by barristers, etc. Corporate, here we can see the private sector. Systemic corruption, this is a very big problem in Africa specifically. Systemic, it means that corruption becomes a habit and you cannot access, for example, your right without paying corruption. That is systemic. It means when you commit this kind of corruption, even if you go to the president, okay, to report that, no, they are asking me to pay a bribe here. The president will just say, no, yes, that's right. That's right. It means that is something which becomes normal in society. And this is a very big problem. It's a very bad kind of corruption here. And with transnational corruption, yes, who can you give an example of transnational corruption? Hello, transnational. What do you understand by transnational? Transnational corruption.
Let me try. Transnational corruption is a type of corruption that exists in between one or more nations.
Perfect. 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 Congratulations. Yes. When you try to go to the borders, a border between two countries, you can just see something there. When they're trying to take some goods from one country to another, people are involved in such kind of corruption. Thank you so much. Now, let's explore some causes of corruption. Causes of corruption, please get ready. Causes of corruption. Here, I need you to speak too much again. Have you ever been affected by corruption? That is the first question I can ask you.
Yes.
Okay, what do you think are the root causes of corruption? Why does corruption exist?
Thank you.
Please try. I'm sorry. Try to hide. Hello, try to hide this information here. I want to see only the title, causes of corruption. Okay, thank you. Thank you so much. Okay, come on, my friend. The one who was speaking.
Yeah, Mr. Gerard, thank you very much. If I can state why there is rampant corruption, maybe worldwide, is because you have normalized corruption for far too long, and those who are the culprits in corruption, in most of these corruption cases, are not punished severely. So each and every generation that comes, they feed into whatever the other generation was doing. So it has become difficult to fight off corruption entirely. So I think it's because of the weak institutions that are not able to punish the offenders.
Weak institutions. Oh, I like the answer. Thank you. Another example of root causes of corruption. Someone else?
I will say lack of information, because if you have to choose a leader that you want, and I'm talking this mainly for the political corruption, you should choose a leader because of the power that you know they can bring change into the society. But sometimes we tend to see that we choose leaders because of the exchange rate that they've given to us. So it becomes like a mandate you have to give back to them because they've given you something. So I will say lack of information, that you have a right to choose a leader that you want, but not through corruption.
Okay, great. Lack of information. And that is normal in some countries. Do you think that is possible in Kenya? Does some people, or do some people misinformation about, for example, the laws, the constitution, etc.? Laws that are relative to corruption? Okay, that was a good example. Thank you so much. Now, let's explore root causes of corruption. We can see that corruption can be caused by lack of integrity first, lack of transparency and accountability, weak institutions, weak systems of oversight, poverty and inequality, culture of impunity, lack of political will. The list, can you see that the list continues? It means you can add other things that you think, no, this can also be a root cause of corruption in my community. For example, when we say inequality, you can say exclusion. There are other people can say low salaries. Can you think that the low salaries can also be a root cause of corruption? So it means that you can add other causes that you know. Now, how you people can you do to handle with these causes of corruptions? What can you do to tackle these causes of corruption? What role can you play, either in combating corruption or perpetuating corruption? What are the role that you can play, you people? Who can try? What can you do to, yes?
Because I'm seeing here, cause of corruption is weak system. And we will say that we create stronger systems that do not allow corruption, even at our workplaces or other places in our daily lives. So creating systems of oversight.
Okay, thank you. You can do that. Okay. Another one, what can you do to combat corruption first? We are talking about combating corruption. What can you do?
Mr. Gerard, I think in my opinion, we need to be proactive and to report these cases of corruption. I thank Integrity, Youth for Integrity, for coming up with the app. They've developed an app that you can flag some of these corrupt individuals. So thank you very much, Integrity.
You're welcome. Okay, now, what now can you do, okay, personally in perpetuating corruption, when you can make corruption exist? What can you do in order to play a role in the existence of corruption?
Okay, for me, I can say we can refuse to engage in corruption activities. Like we can maybe if you are asked to pay a bribe for you to be given a certain service, you can refuse to give that bribe.
Yes, sir. Thank you. But that is in the first case, okay, in the first case of combating corruption. But now we are in the second case of perpetuating corruption. Perpetuating corruption. It means that you are doing some actions that are favorable for corruption to exist. Okay, what can you do? For example, when you ask corruption, okay, when you receive corruption, okay? Are we together? Yes. Okay, it means corruption can be perpetuating by people, by individuals, play a role in perpetuating corruption through their actions, such as giving and accepting bribes, engaging in nepotism, etc. Individuals can combat corruption by actively refusing to engage in corrupt practices through whistleblowing. Whistleblowing. Yes, let's know the word. This is a very, very basic concept in integrity and corruption. What is a whistleblowing? Okay, that is homework. That's homework. Now, legal frameworks and international initiatives. What efforts has been done in Kenya specifically to combat corruption? Do you know any effort that the government or civil society or private sector has established in order to combat corruption? What initiatives or what legal frameworks exist in your country? Do you know any legal frameworks? Let me say legal documents or legal information that are put in place in order to combat corruption. Okay, I want to hear from you.
Yes, one of the example is here in Kenya. For example, when you are being found in corruption, you have engaged yourself in corruption, you are being dismissed from work or from government office.
Yes.
Yes. Can I speak?
Yes, go on.
Yeah. In Kenya, there is some board which were formed, and one of the bodies is called IPOA board, whereby this is the board which looks and it really follow up the way these police officers they are working. You know, in Kenya, most of the corruption being happen, it really engage the corruption activities that really engage with the police officers. And there is a board called IPOA which was formed to check on how the police officers are working, from the police from the traffic, police from the administration, and different department of the police. So in Kenya, we have department which was formed, which its main work is following up and how to combat this corruption.
Okay, thank you so much. In organizations, there are also some documents that they use. But now, do you know any of international initiatives that have been taken or initiated to combat corruption internationally?
For the international bodies that have been formed to combat corruption or to prosecute these corrupt fellas, there's this body that is called ICC, International Court for, I think ICC, yeah, it's in the Netherlands. So those big officials who have been found culprit of corrupt or embezzlement cases have been taken there, and some of them are still serving sentences there. So ICC is one of them, maybe.
Okay, there are too many initiatives, and I like that. Thank you so much. Okay, let's move. We are going now to explore some of the frameworks that exist in Kenya and internationally. Here we have some legal frameworks in Kenya. The Constitution of Kenya, adopted in 2010, and we have the Anti-Corruption and Economic Crimes Act, Public Procurement and Asset Disposal Act. Those are some of the frameworks. I guess these are not all, but there are some examples of frameworks that helps to give people information about how the corruption can be handled, or how people can fight against corruption. It means it's your right to know about your constitution and to know specifically what are the articles, okay, that are specific to corruption, to tackling corruption, etc. And how are those articles being put in place? That is very important. And you know, we have been speaking about anti-corruption, the efforts and measures that are taken to prevent, detect, or combat corruption. And when you are in a leadership position, you must know which measures to take in order to stop corruption, to sustain in your organization, in your community. Even if we are talking about the government, no, don't. It is not only the government which is responsible for combating corruption. Everyone is responsible. You, individuals, are responsible in combating corruption. Your organizations, you must also have some frameworks in your organization, some structures that give some guidelines about people's conduct, how people should be directed, how they should behave within organizations. And we have got some international initiatives here, United Nations Conventions Against Corruption, okay, Transparency International Corruption Perception Index, Extractive Industries Transparency Initiative, African Union Convention on Preventing and Combating Corruption. It means we have got many frameworks, and all of those efforts are very important in combating corruption. And what is important is not to have these frameworks or initiatives. What is important is to apply, to put into practice all of these frameworks, because you can have some regulations, some rules at place that tell you how you can behave, how you can combat corruption. But if you don't apply those regulations, okay, it's meaningless. So as civic leaders, you are called to have a culture of anti-corruption. You are called to have a culture of anti-corruption. And what do you think can be the importance of these frameworks, legal frameworks and international initiatives? What do you think can be the importance of all of them? Who's got the answer? Yes, I can see the answer on the screen. Who can read the answer? Yes, come on.
Importance of legal framework. One is deterrent, punishment, prevention and transparency, institutional institutional cooperation, and promotion of good governance.
Great. Now, let's discuss about now these frameworks are important. How do you think that those frameworks can enhance transparency, for instance? That is homework. Now, role of individuals in promoting integrity. You individuals, what is your role in promoting integrity? How can you promote integrity personally? Personally, how can you promote integrity?
I think as for me,
yes,
is possessing self-discipline. When you are disciplined, there is no way that you can engage in corruption cases. That is according to me.
Thanks, John. Yes, someone else? How can you promote integrity? Okay, for this question, I need your answers in the chats. Everyone can write a short sentence about how they can promote integrity in the chat. While I'm giving some roles that individuals can play in promoting integrity, keep writing your answers in the chat. I will read them later. Okay, role of individuals in promoting integrity. Civic engagement. Individuals can participate in civil society organizations, advocate groups, or anti-corruption movements to raise awareness, advocate for reforms, and hold public officials accountable. Ethical leadership. Individuals in positions of leadership, whether in government, business, or civil society, have the opportunity to lead by example and promote the ethical behavior. By demonstrating integrity, transparency, and accountability, they can inspire others and create a culture that rejects corruption. Okay, here we have got some of the roles of individuals. Now, I think you are also typing your answers. Okay, are you typing? Yes, keep typing your answers about the roles. I want to read. You just have 1 minute to type your answers. How can you, what role can you play in fighting corruption? Please, what role can you play in promoting integrity? Try to type your answer. What role can you play? Yes, I want to read here. Through addressing conflict respectfully and honestly. Thank you. Thank you, Sitia. Yes, I want to read from you all. What role can you play? Creating awareness on corruption. Thank you. Yes. Yes, I need more examples, please, from you. What role can you play in promoting integrity, reporting unethical behavior? Yes. Okay. What role can you play? I need more. You still have 1 minute, and I'll be happy to see your answers there. By sensitizing, creating an environment for the victims to open up. report. Okay. Good. Yes, I want to read. Go on. Go on typing your answers. Try to write everything that comes on your mind. I can be ready to take responsibility for my decisions and actions, especially when I make a mistake. Great. Okay. Okay, thank you so much. I am very happy that you really understand what integrity is and what is the role that you can play in promoting integrity. That is great. Now, let's have some case studies. Oh, yeah. You can share the case studies with the participants. They will open the files and they will read for 2 minutes. And we are going to answer the questions that are given there. Very sorry for interruption. Hello, everyone.
We can hear you. Hello.
I'm very sorry for interruption. Okay, now let's now see some let's have a look at some case studies now. Okay, please try to share on screen. Okay, I'll be reading very quickly. We have got our first case study here, the Petrobras scandal in Brazil. Background: the Petrobras scandal, which emerged in 2014, involved a vast corruption scheme within the Brazilian state-owned oil company, Petrobras. It revealed a network of bribery, kickbacks, and money laundering involving politicians, executives, and construction companies. Now, I will ask you to reflect on what we have been speaking, on everything that we have been discussing here today. Now, try to answer all of these questions here. What were the consequences of the Petrobras scandal on Brazil's economy and society? How did corruption within Petrobras impact the company's operations and reputation? Discuss the ethical dilemmas faced by individuals involved in the corruption scheme. What factors may have influenced their decisions? What role did integrity play in preventing or mitigating the consequences of the scandal? How did the exposure of corruption within Petrobras impact public trust in governments, institutions, and business sector? What measures could have been taken to prevent or detect the corruption scheme or earlier? Okay, let's work on this first case study. Now try to read everything carefully and answer the questions. We have got the second case study here, but I'd advise you to start working on the first one because our time is running out. Yes, imagine any consequences that this kind of corruption can have on society, and tell us Okay. Hello, participants. Can you hear me? Am I audible?
Yes, we can.
I can hear you.
Yes. Okay. We have got an activity to do. So please try to answer the questions that are asked there. It is just an example of Brazil, an example of corruption in Brazil. And you can read and answer the questions according to your understanding of the consequences of corruption and the impact that it can have on society. Who can answer the first question? You still have the file. You can open the file and read the questions, please. Okay, who is first? Who is first? Who can read? Who can give the answer, the first answer?
The effect of the economy of the Brazilian deteriorated, and also the economy of the society deteriorated too. In the case, maybe some people were dismissed from job, maybe because of the embezzlement and money laundering in the company. That's all.
Well, like in Brazil, it was just an example in a company in Brazil where they tried to experience corruption, and how the government would have, how the government lost much money due to that bad practice. And you were asked now to explain, according to your understanding, what did you understand about the consequences of corruption in Brazil, according to what you know? We have been explaining what integrity is, what anti-corruption is, what measures you can put in place, legal frameworks that must be respected, etc., etc. And that was the question which you could answer. Unfortunately, I don't know if you are still reading the activity, but we must move to the next slide. I'm sorry, group activities. Now you are going to work in a group. We are going to give you some activities that you are going to work in a group. And we are going to divide you into small groups, maybe group of 5 or 6 persons. And each group will be required to answer the questions according to the topic that they will be given. So please, you will have at most 5 minutes to work on your topic. Try to open the file that has been shared with you. Have a look in the chat. Have a look in the chat. You will see the files that have been shared with you, group activity. And you will be divided into 3 groups. Try to work on that exercise.
Yeah, just to clarify, Gerard. So group 1 will work on activity 1, group 2 on activity 2, and group 3 on activity 3. We are breaking them into 3. So group 1 to work on activity 1, group 2 on activity 2, and then group 3 on activity 3.
Great.
So the rest of you who are still in the meeting, kindly join your respective rooms. Tom Nyali, John Lopeyok, and Edwin Kiritu, kindly join your groups. Edwin Kiritu, Melissa Sidi, and John Lopeyok, kindly join your rooms. Melissa, are you having any issue? John Lopeyok, are you having any challenge?
Okay. Hello, everyone. Thank you so much. I think that you have been discussing in your respective groups and you have come up with some ideas on the exercises that we shared with you. So now try to share your ideas with us, please. What did you learn from your groups? Okay, I will start with the group B because I was with those people. Whistleblower's dilemma. Please try to discuss about different aspects that you have learned from that exercise, whistleblower dilemma. Okay, we have the case study here on the screen, the activity on the screen. Okay, people from that group, I can read again the background. You work for a private company and discover evidence of widespread corruption within the organization. Senior executives are involved in embezzlement, bribery, and fraudulent practices. You are torn between reporting the corruption and risking relation, or staying silent to protect your job and personal safety. Guiding questions. What are the ethical considerations for deciding whether to blow the whistle on corruption within the company? Second question, what potential consequences could arise from reporting the corruption, both personally and for the organization? Third question, how can individuals balance their duty to expose corruption with the potential risk they may face? Fourth, what protections and support should be in place to encourage and protect whistleblowers? How can organizations create a culture of integrity and transparency to prevent corruption and support ethical decision making? Okay, those are the questions on which you tried to work in your groups, and try now to explain to your fellow participants here about what you have been discussing in your group. Thank you. I'm addressing this to people who are working on this topic. Cynthia, for example. Come on. John,
My
are
name
you
is
there?
John. And
Yes.
one of the things that, yeah, here I am. And one of the things that we have been discussing is the threat of the whistleblower in terms of risking the job. And one of it is being dismissed from the job. And also number two, to risk the life of the whistleblower is being risked. Yeah, that is what I can give.
Okay. How can individuals balance their duty to expose corruption with the potential risk they may face? How can they now balance their duty, okay, to expose corruption with the potential risk they may face? And the fourth question, what protections and support should be in place to encourage and protect whistleblowers? As you have said that, there are some risks and those people can be afraid to report corruption because they're afraid of losing their jobs. Now, what can be done to protect those people? You have been discussing this too. What protections do you think can be done? Because people are afraid of reporting corruption. Okay, we move to another activity. The bribe offer. I will be very quick, okay? I'm reading the background. You are a government official responsible for awarding contracts for public infrastructure projects. A construction company approaches you and offers a substantial bribe in exchange for securing a lucrative contract. The company promises to deliver substandard work and inflate the costs. Accepting the bribe would provide personal financial gain, but compromise the quality and value for public funds. I repeat, you are a government official responsible for awarding contracts for public infrastructure projects. A construction company approaches you and offers a substantial bribe in exchange for securing a lucrative contract. The company promises to deliver substandard work and inflate the costs. Accepting the bribe would provide personal financial gain but compromise the quality and value for public funds. This scenario one is about the bribe offer, the one who gives the bribe. Now we move to questions. First question, what are the ethical implications and of accepting the bribe in this scenario? What are the ethical implications according to you, when you can understand well the background of this activity? What are the ethical implications of accepting the bribe in this scenario? Second question, what potential consequences could arise from accepting the bribe, both personally and for the public? Third question, what alternative actions could be taken to maintain integrity while ensuring the public interest is served? Fourth, how can transparency and accountability be promoted in the contract awarding process to prevent such ethical dilemmas? Five, what role do personal values and professional codes of conduct play in making decisions in this scenario. Okay, people who worked on this activity, please, you are welcome with any ideas that you may have.
Thank you. The voice is of Emmanuel. I think the first question was implication, social dilemmas. The first social dilemma we had is the whole issue around social norms. We all live in a cultural setup that has ideals and values that are treasured within the society. So that's the first dilemma. It will become an issue on, it will play a huge deal on the guy accepting the bride or actually sticking by what is expected with regards to best practices. Those are submission around bridge of trust, both by the governing body and the community we serve. So that also will become a dilemma, an ethical dilemma on deciding on to pick the bribe or not. The other question was possible consequences. Of course, we had issues around embezzlement, funds will be wasted, conviction by law, now that we work in a regulated government framework, by and large. The third question, if you could repeat.
What alternative actions could be taken to maintain integrity while ensuring the public interest is served?
Yes, we talked of social accountability mechanism for the public, where the public will have a direct hand and influence to all procedures when it comes to government procurement systems and dynamics around public works, by and large. That was the alternative given into place. The fourth question.
How can transparency and accountability be promoted in the contract awarding process to prevent such ethical dilemmas?
I think public participation. For a case in Kenya, public participation is a considerable component when it comes to public works. If we can emphasize on public participation, that will be good. And of course, principles of openness, adherence to regulations. We have quality checks mechanism. For like in Kenya, government officers are subjected to audit, social audits by anti-corruption commission. So those are a number of mechanisms that will help us also make sure checks and balances are there. And then the fourth question, the last question, sorry.
What role do personal values and professional codes of conduct play in making decisions in this scenario?
Basically, we move from relying on personal attributes and strength towards a regulatory framework. The code of conduct stipulates basically the do's and don'ts, so that we try to, as much as possible, to reduce the human influence into decision making, so that the whole concept is an investment of systems and structure rather than personalities. And of course, the former is the best way to go. Thank you so much. That was a good one.
Oh, great, Emmanuel. Thank you so much. Okay, we have now the conflict of interest. This scenario is about the conflict of interest background. I'm reading, you are a government official responsible for overseeing the regulation of a specific industry. A close family member owns a company operating within that industry and requests preferential treatment or insider information to gain an unfair advantage over competitors. Granting their request would benefit your family member, but compromise the fairness and integrity of the regulatory process. Questions. What ethical dilemmas arise from this conflict of interest situation? Second question, what potential consequences could arise from granting preferential treatment or providing insider information? Third question, how can you balance your personal obligations and loyalty to your family member with your professional duty to act with integrity? Fourth question, what steps can be taken to manage conflicts of interest and ensure fairness in regulatory processes? Fifth, how can transparency and accountability be promoted to prevent conflicts of interest and maintain public trust in regulatory bodies? Okay, come on. Please tell us everything that you have been discussing in your group, the ones who discussed about this in their group. Okay, we want to hear from you. You're welcome.
I think from our group, we were 5 members. So I beg to answer or to respond to some of those questions. But in case I leave some of them behind, I think my other group members will address them. So for the first question, first question was what ethical dilemmas arise from this conflict of interest situation? So in this kind of scenario, I think that being an ethical employee and being a trusted member of the organization you are working for is in contrast to being a helpful person, especially to the close family members and relatives. So the employee at this particular time is torn between being ethical and helping the family member. And then for the second question was what potential consequences could arise from granting preferential treatment or providing insider information. So in this kind of scenario, if the employee who is undertaking, me as the government official responsible for overseeing the regulation in this particular scenario, and I favor my relative, I will automatically bring out a report that is filled with a lot of irregularities that has not even met the standards that it was intended to or it was designed to meet. And then for the third question was, how can you balance personal obligations and loyalty to your family members with your professional duty to act with integrity? So in order to balance personal obligations to your family members with your professional duty, there is need to emphasize on the need to play your role accordingly. So if you're working for the industry that, or for the organization that is overseeing the regulations, then I think that there's need to follow the code of conduct and how best you're supposed to conduct yourself at any given time, on any given day, and whoever you meet or you come across in your line of duty. And the fourth question was, what steps can be taken to manage conflict of interest and ensure fairness in regulatory process? So in this kind of scenario, there's always need to involve. You can if I can put myself in these shoes, and I'm going to conduct a regulatory check on my relatives industry, then I think it is best to have my other staff members accompany me, so that I can delegate some of the roles to my other staff that particularly target my relative. So I think that will apply in this case, so that I cannot be, so that I won't be directly placing myself in this kind of temptation in order to favor my relative. And then for the fifth question was, how can transparency and accountability be promoted to prevent conflicts of interest and maintain public trust in regulatory bodies? I think there are two answers for this. And the first one will be by following all the laid out rules and regulations of work and how to conduct myself while on duty. And then the second will be regulating bodies or regulatory bodies should work independently without any external or internal influences, and they should also be protected or supported by the state in order to carry out their mandate. So thank you very much.
Oh, you're most welcome. Thank you. Okay, thank you. I think everyone has been discussing in the group and you have come up with very good insights. So thank you, all of you. Now, what's next? Oh, reflection and discussion now. Key takeaways from the module. Reflect on how you can apply, etc., etc. Now, try to have a look at everything that we have been discussing today and write in the chat. Write in the chat your key, your takeaways, and we are going to discuss about that in some 2 minutes. Just quickly, what is your takeaway from today's session? What are your key takeaways? What are your key takeaways from the module? Write in the chat, please, quickly. Your key takeaways, your most important things that you learned today. Yes, type your responses. Hello, can you type your key takeaways from the module? I can see no one typing. Yes, reflect on how you can apply the knowledge and get the knowledge gained in personal and professional lives. How can you apply all of the knowledge that you received today in your personal life first and in your organizations or government, if you will work with the government? The different types of corruption was my key takeaway. Thank you. Okay, now someone to reflect on how they can apply the knowledge gained in personal and professional lives. Who can be the first one?
We have some more comments in the chat.
Yes, I can see corruption has many forms and types. We need strong institutions and individuals to combat it. Oh, great. My takeaway is the consequences of corruption. Yeah, consequences. They are very bad. Be active in public participation in public projects. Yes, be active. Key takeaway, consequences of corruption and the role of individuals in promoting integrity. Yes, you have to play a very good role. Thank you so much. Okay, you can write everything that comes to your mind here about what you have learned today. Keep writing anything that comes on your mind. type. Great. The different ways to avoid compromising setups which lead to corruption, more so involving family members or close person. Great. Yes, your key takeaways, please. Reflect on how you can apply the knowledge gained in personal professional lives. Thank you so much. I think I will share other more group, not a group, these will be now personal exercises or personal activities. I will share them with the program team, and I think they can send them to you. You can be working on those exercises in time at home so that to emphasize what you have learned today. Thank you for your participation. Okay, yeah, I can see the different ways to avoid. Okay, integrity starts with me as an individual, so I make the decision to practice it. Integrity is the basis of democracy. Great. Being honest and irresponsible in all dealings. Great. I have known that the importance of integrity. Yeah, that is great. Thank you so much. You have been very wonderful, very amazing. Congratulations. Okay. I don't know if we have got some. Hello, Kennedy, are you there?
Yes, Gerard. Thank you very much, Gerard. Oh, wow.
You're welcome.
This session has just been a good one, I must say. Thank you very much, Gerard. That has been very insightful. I think, fellas, we've learned a lot, and I can see you still continuing to chat. So this discussion, I think we shall proceed on it on our chat group on WhatsApp, where I think our facilitators will be joining too to check on these activities, especially Gerard. I'll be welcoming you to the chat group so that as the discussion continues on the chat group, you'll be overseeing the same. So thank you very much. I don't think if we have Miriam here, maybe because of the connections, but I have just realized we have our ED. Just welcome her to say something before we close. The ED, if you can hear me.
Oh, yes, I can hear you loud and clear. So thank you so much, everyone. Thank you, the ILEAD fellows who have stayed active from the start up to this moment. We really appreciate you. We appreciate your comments, your feedback, your participation. You are so, what can I say? You're so full of life. You have great ideas. You have great knowledge to share. We really appreciate you. Thank you so much, Gerald. That was a wonderful facilitation. Personally, I just stayed put up to this end. And yeah, it's a learning process for everyone. And I really thank you. Thank you so much also, Billy. I see our other facilitator, Billy, on board. So thank you so much for joining us. We really appreciate you. All in all, I say thank you. Yeah.
Thank you. That is the ED. And thank you, Billy, also for being part of this session. So Billy and Gerald, I wish to see you in the chat group so that as the fellows continue discussing, you'll be there also to oversee their answers to all these activities. So thank you, everyone, and hoping to see you next Friday, same time. God bless you and have a wonderful evening.